Thank you for visiting JSH Insights. This is a guided mindfulness meditation, preceded by some brief comments just for context. This recording is offered freely. If you find it has value for you, I hope you'll consider making a donation of support at jshinsights.com/donate. Thank you. So just a few words about mindfulness meditation as we prepare to sit. Last time I talked about the challenges we all face when we meditate, things like restlessness or anxiety or tiredness, those kinds of things, but also the monkey mind when our minds are constantly acting and going along. But I think there's another way we can look at it too, and that is to change the way we frame the situation about coming into meditation. And so I'm wondering what happens when we change our focus from, this is such a chore, I have to do that, I don't have time, I'm just not good at meditating, all that kind of internal conversation we have. What if we change that to understand that we're really trying to set up an environment in which we can get to know our minds better, right? So we want to create this open space, the open awareness, to be with things the way they are directly, just as they are. And it's hard because we're not really conditioned in this way in our cultures so much. And I think when you think about if we're always heading for an outcome, an eventuality, and have an expectation for that kind of thing, sometimes this repetitive nature of going through these practices seems kind of beside the point. But really, it's about creating this kind of environment in which we can actually just be with our minds in the present moment as things are unfolding. We don't do that very often, and probably you've already noticed that it's difficult just to sit with yourself sometimes. And this is really what we're trying to do. And I think we're not trying to get to an end of perfection. We're not trying to get to whatever enlightenment is necessarily. I think those things appear, the awarenesses and the insights appear as they come forth. They're not something we can force. It isn't like getting a project done. It isn't that kind of thing. It's kind of on a different dimension. And I think that's important to try to remember, that although there is a repetitive nature to this kind of thing, what we're trying to do is set up space to be with ourselves. That's a challenge in itself, but I think that's what we're really trying to do. And we're trying to do this so that we're in a state of equanimity, meaning we're in balance with what's going on, regardless of what it is. You know, whatever shows up, we're not being thrown around by it. We can be with whatever it is. We're not denying any experience, but we just want to be with it without being, either tossed against the shore or being left out at sea with our emotions and that kind of thing. And I think that's a really important kind of thing to hold in your mind about this, about what we're trying to do here. The nuts and the bolts of the practices remain the same, and they have for thousands of years, really. The thing that is different every single time is what shows up. We're different. The events that come to our mind are different. There's always something that we can be with newly. And I think that's an important thing. And it's actually a beautiful gift of these practices, I think. And the other thing that we're trying to be, instead of perfect at meditating, we're trying to become more skillful at being with whatever shows up. So we're acting out of knowing, out of wisdom, is what we're trying to find. That I thought of an example this morning for myself, that there's a feeling, this is about anger, which is just a big emotion we all are familiar with. You can know with practice and really getting to know your mind, that first inkling when that discomfort arises, which will always turn into anger. We all have those triggers, for example, that kind of thing. But if I can actually know that it's appearing, how about I make a different choice going, I'm not going to go hurt myself or the people around me in this moment. That's not denying what's happening. It's seeing the feeling for what it is, being with it, but knowing skillfully that I can make a different choice. I don't have to be so reactive. So that's an example, I think, of what I'm talking about here with this sort of open space of awareness. And it's really always going to be about understanding our relationship to experience, whatever shows up. That's really what it is. And I think the good news, at least from my perspective, we can all do this. It is possible. We can learn to be more skillful. We can act out of wisdom more often, which just gives a more peaceful life in general, a calmer life. It doesn't mean we're not having difficulties. Life has suffering in it. That's just part of the deal. But we can be with it in a different way and try to maintain that balance, and be with others in that same kind of way. And so we bring kindness and friendliness to ourselves as we're doing this as well, because it's not always easy, but we can do it. We can set up this space to know these kinds of things. So in a way, by sitting in this way, we're honoring ourselves and our endeavor to know our minds better and to be more skillful and act from a wise heart as well. So that's what we're trying to do. So we'll begin. I'll start with our little bell, which is a reminder of the impermanence of all of our experience. Everything comes and goes. We can just be with it. So let's begin by taking a couple of deep breaths. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And as you exhale, just relax. Let go of thoughts and concerns of the day the best that you can. And just rest in this present moment. And right now, there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. And there's no one to be. And also here at the beginning, we can bring our attention to our state of mind or our mood right now. What's the general feeling state? And we do this to be aware of what it is we're bringing to meditation in this moment. Noticing what impact that might have on being able to sit with ease and to feel at home. So if you come with some kinds of anxiety or disquiet, we want to notice that, but see if you can soften it or relax it, or even set it aside for these few moments, just to be at ease. And if you've come already feeling calm, open, and relaxed, see if you can open even farther. Feel that spaciousness of your awareness. And now bring your attention to the body sitting here. And begin to notice physical sensations that arise in your awareness. And there'll be some obvious ones here at the beginning. You'll notice your seat on the cushion, your feet on the floor. You'll notice your posture, those kind of obvious physical things. But we can also do a scan through the body to see what sensations you notice. And pay attention to places where it feels like you're holding on to tightness or tension, particularly. For example, we often carry tightness in our shoulders. See if you can relax your shoulders back and down. which also opens the chest, which allows freer breathing. Or you may notice that your jaw is tight, or maybe your teeth are clenched. See if you can relax the jaw, unclench the teeth. And really, wherever you're feeling a sense of being contracted or tight, just see if you can soften and relax those areas. And again, this is all in service to being more at ease, more at home. And then from this direct experience of being in the body, move your attention to the sensations of breathing and the breath. Noticing first how the body experiences breathing. And we just want to be with the breath. We don't want to control it. We don't want to alter it in any way. It's a little bit more like being a companion to the breath. We want to be there, but we don't want to interfere. We want to be fully present. And also we want to be with all the movements and phases of each breath the best we can. So see if you can be with the inhale from beginning to end. And the exhale from beginning to end. And just one breath at a time. Meaning we don't want to anticipate the next breath or a future breath. We don't want to hang on to a breath that's already occurred. This is sort of a reminder to be here now. So just really feel what it's like to breathe without trying to control it or alter it in any way. And with all the very different things we can notice about the breath, it can also be useful to notice maybe where you're experiencing breathing most directly in this moment. So some of you maybe are noticing the physical body movements, like the rise and fall of the chest, the expansion of the abdomen. Some of you may be noticing the movement of air past the tip of the nose as it enters and leaves the nostrils. And right there, you may even notice some more subtle things, like there's a temperature change. The air is cool going in and warm going out. So let's just take a couple moments just to be with the breath, be with the breathing. What are you experiencing? What are you noticing? And if you did find a place where you're noticing breathing most directly and predominantly right now, you can make that more like your meditation object. This is the place you can return if your mind wanders or you get lost in thought. This is the place you could come back. Just remember this place, kind of like the home base. And again, our focus is on the breath. So see if we can be with the breath without getting distracted or pulled away. But it's also true that at some point, most of us have probably already noticed that thoughts arise as we sit. And you might notice that as being the mind wandering, or you got stuck on a particular thought, or there's a story going on that you're involved with. But for the purposes here, try to notice that just very lightly and without any judgment. There's really not a problem here. The mind is just doing what it was designed to do. But in support of our willingness to be with whatever shows up in awareness, we kind of want to stay at the top processing level of thinking. So just noticing that thinking is happening, but not get caught in the contents of the thoughts. Those are the things that seem to take us away from the present moment. So we're not denying that thoughts are appearing. We notice that thinking is happening. But we don't have to hang on to that and follow it away from the present moment. And to the extent we're able to do that, you start to notice some things about the actual nature of the thoughts. Primarily, you notice that they come and go, and we would call that they are impermanent. They don't last. So then you can notice, as you notice this coming and going without being attached either way, that when the thoughts dissipate or when you notice they've left, right there is an opportunity for you to remember just to return to the breath and just put your light focus on the breath again. And we just simply begin again. And this mechanism can really happen many times, even in a short sitting. Awareness lets you know your mind has wandered, but then you can find this moment where you can remember to return. And the same holds true if emotions arise as you sit, as they often do. But just as we did with thoughts, we want to notice that they also come and go. They are also impermanent. So just as we did with thoughts, we want to notice that feeling is happening, but we don't want to get caught in the story about the contents of those thoughts. That stuff that leads us away. And also, just like thoughts, because they come and go, we can see when they dissipate that there again is an opportunity to remember just to return to the breath and start again. So let's just take a couple moments and just be with this. Just notice it in your own direct experience, this interplay that's going on all the time. So again, the whole mechanism is we put a light focus on the breath. Awareness lets us know when we've lost connection with that, either by the mind wandering or getting stuck on a thought. But when we notice from this sort of processing level that thinking is happening, thoughts are coming and going, we can also find the opportunity just to return and begin again. And this is really the basis of mindfulness meditation. The mind will always interact with the outside world. It's what it does. It's a great tool for us. But sometimes we identify with it too much and we get lost in all of its doing. And we kind of forget that we are also beings. So in this way, by establishing a meditation object, this time it's the breath, we have this kind of home base we can return to. And it's always with us. We can use this anywhere we find ourselves. We can always return. And also, as our practice develops, there are important aspects of awareness itself that start to become clearer to us as well. And one of those things is that our awareness is very expansive sometimes. It extends way beyond our physical bodies. You're aware and present in the room in which you find yourself, but even farther than that sometimes. There's this expansive quality. But even when we understand and feel that and experience that, we are still aware of the breath at the same time. So we know that our awareness is both expansive, but also pervasive. It is embodied. And it's all the same awareness. And awareness is really that field in which all of our experience is known. It's open, it's spacious. And as we're able to stay in this more expansive and open space, we start to notice some other things. One of those is that sort of need for a play-by-play commentary that we often have starts to quiet down. And along with that, we often find that we are less reactive. We are just with what's going on. And there is a kind of peace and relaxation that comes with that because we are not tied so strongly to our thoughts and feelings. We are with them, we notice them, we can process them. But from this open space, we can act with more wisdom and more skill with what's arising. So again, we just remember that thoughts and feelings come one after another, and they leave one after another. And we make no effort to cling to them to stay, and no effort to push them away to leave. It's just noticing. And it's also important to remember not to get stuck judging the wandering mind. When we do that, we kind of get stuck and miss really the point and the gift of these meditations, which is that we can remember to return to home base. We can remember to return to the breath. So let's just rest for a couple moments, both in the open awareness that you're experiencing, but also with your awareness of the light focus on the breath. And now, as we prepare to bring this particular meditation to a close, you might want to take a couple of breaths that have a little more energy to them as you expand your awareness to the room around you, maybe taking in more sounds, maybe some more sensations, more of the aliveness in the body. And then in your own time, you can open your eyes and we'll bring the meditation to a close. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Jon.
Thank you.
It's so nice.
Thank you, Jon.
It's so nice to be with everybody.
Oh, yes.
You also. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you all soon.
Good.